Hello and welcome to DIY Therapy. As always, we'll start with a disclaimer. This podcast is for educational purposes only. It is not designed to diagnose or treat. When beginning any exercise program, it should be reviewed and discussed with your medical professional prior to beginning. That means before. Information on this podcast is not designed to replace medical treatment. My name is Will. With me, as always, is Andy.
Why do you treat our audience like they're idiots?
I don't.
You sit like they don't know what prior means.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's some people out there, maybe there's an 8-year-old out there listening to us, and like, what does prior mean?
You're reaching.
I really am.
You are
I
reaching.
Really am.
You are reaching, brother.
I really am.
So what's up?
Not too much. Where we are finally have some good weather, so that's
yes. Can't beat that. 70 degrees and no humidity. Love it.
Yet.
And no rain.
So
no
far.
rain. Yeah, and yet the humidity will be coming.
Yes.
So what's new with you? Anything exciting?
Not a whole lot. Not too much.
No. We've got Game of Thrones coming up here.
Yes, the
last episode ever. Which we haven't talked about. What'd you originally think of that last episode?
We can talk about it at the end.
Where Danny, you want to do it at the end?
We'll do it at the end. Yeah,
do it at the end. Okay.
Yeah.
Danny went all Mad Queen on us.
Yeah.
Oh, spoiler alert! Sorry,
Yeah.
Spoiler.
I mean, everyone probably knows about this. Even people who don't watch the show probably know about this.
I know it's broken the internet.
Yes.
Yeah. So what are we talking about today?
Let's talk about jumper's knee.
Jumper's knee. What the heck is jumper's knee? Sounds made up.
It is.
Perfect.
Well, it's the patella tendon.
What's patella?
Okay, so the patella is your kneecap. The kneecap is attached to the quadriceps, right? Were you with me so far?
Which is?
The 4 muscles on your thigh, the front.
Good.
And they attach to the top of your kneecap. And then there's another tendon that attaches from your bottom of your kneecap to your shin.
Good job.
I nailed it.
Big time.
Yes, I did. And the part of the jumper's knee that is affected is the part from your bottom of your kneecap to your shin.
I just like watching you struggle.
I'm trying to... I usually don't describe these things.
I know. Yeah, trying to describe what the structures are is always challenging without a video, which,
Or just like,
this medium, doesn't provide that.
No.
So yeah.
I'll put up a picture for those who are interested, but
yeah,
it's not... Yeah, if you're sitting down and you go to touch your knee, it's that part where the doctor hits you to get your knee to go.
Yeah, actually, yeah, right where your reflexes are.
Yeah.
So patellar. So it's actually also basically jumper's knee is tendonitis essentially.
Yes.
Yeah, and so signs and symptoms typically are tenderness over that area when you're pressing on it. Many times there's quite a bit of pain when we're going up and down stairs. Many times getting up and out of chairs. Any types of deep squats, deep lunges, that all puts a tremendous amount of strain on the patellar tendon there. And then a lot of times you'll have like a dull achiness just right below the kneecap after you've been up and moving around for a bit and you're resting.
Yeah.
So that's the typical signs and symptoms. It's something that a lot of people can have. You don't have to be an athlete to have jumper's knee. But it's something that can get irritated a lot of times actually from just like kneeling. Like if you're doing like plumbing or something on the weekend and kneeling down, or all of a sudden gardening in the beginning of the spring, something like that, you can all of a sudden start to get a little bit of irritation there. Or it could be that you're squatting down and doing more repetitive squats that you haven't been used to, and that's
you just started doing, getting back into this, exercising and
and then obviously there's the athletes that who are doing big power lifts or big deep squats with lots of weight, and or like explosive types of movement,
like running like a for you soccer, there's a lot of quick movements You have a problem?
Yeah, I always have a problem.
But yeah, quick little movements. You go from zero, kind of standing around, to all of a sudden, I need to go over there fast.
Sprinters, hurdlers, track and field athletes have issues with them. Basketball players have issues with them.
Because that's where they kind of get the name jumpers, because they're jumping around. Mm-hmm. There's that fast.
Linemen are going to be people who have, because there's a lot of weight that they're pushing around and they're getting in that through. Well, I mean, let's be honest.
They're large humans.
Yeah, I mean, and we're getting bigger and bigger as we speak.
I don't know how. I literally don't know how that is happening.
No, you actually, the thing is, I'm a huge Notre Dame football fan. And I follow recruiting because I'm a fanatic about this stuff. But there are like kids in high school that are like 6'7", 6'8", that are like 320, that are juniors and sophomores in high school. And it's not bad weight. It's not like I mean, these kids are just getting bigger and bigger, and I can't even put words to it. It's phenomenal. It's weird.
Monsters.
I
mean, do you remember back in the day when if you had even in the NFL, if you because didn't Dallas was like, when back in like the 90s, they had like, their line was like, everybody was like 300 pounds and everybody's like, yeah, that's,
Oh, that was huge.
That was huge at the time.
Yeah, it used to be 270 and then it was, Dallas was like 300 and now if you've got,
if anyone under
your nose tackle is 350, 340, it's insane.
That's a lot of
people are just getting bigger and bigger. Anyway, so this amount of stress that we place on our knees, obviously can start to cause some irritation. So it's the repetitiveness, or typically people who are more that have more exposure or more risk for it would be either the repetitiveness of it, where you're doing it all the time, or you're just getting into something. So even people like I've had people in like spinning classes who are bending that knee and really putting a lot of torque on that knee, but they just got into it and start to have some knee pain with that. So the big thing is, there's other injuries that may not be patellar tendonitis or jumper's knee, like a meniscal injury. That's going to be more internal, typically, to differentiate that.
Usually those are more lateral, either on the inside or the outside.
There's usually an injury that occurs with it, so that's a good way to tell. Twisting, pivoting really agitates it, whereas jumper's knee, it's not really the twisting.
Meniscus would feel better resting, whereas jumper's knee, not necessarily.
Yeah, possibly, unless it's really irritated. But the other thing is, like, there's no catching or
there's a clicking or
clicking that occurs with jumper's knee, whereas with meniscus problem there could be. So that's some ways that you can determine that. Obviously, like an actual patellar tear, where it's a full blown tear, you would lose function. You would know that. You'd have a lot of pain, a lot more swelling. This you may not have a heck of a lot of swelling with. It could be.
Yeah,
there could be some swelling there, but
it might feel
may
warm,
not.
But
What else? That's probably.
Yeah, it kind of sneaks up on you a bit, whereas like you can do whatever it is you're doing and it doesn't hurt, and then after you sit down and rest for a while, it starts to hurt then it starts getting a little more aggravating while you're actually doing the thing, but isn't stopping you from doing anything. And then it kind of just like it'll sneak up on you because you won't notice it. But if you nip it in the bud in the beginning, you'll be better off. You just got to be paying attention to it.
Yeah. So like when we treat this stuff, it's kind of, you got to always kind of go down the same path that we've always talked about, which is
ice and rest.
Like how Will just said, it kind of sneaks up on you. Being self-aware. Yeah. Recognizing that there's pain there and trying to identify what it is that's really agitating it.
And just not just thinking of like, we all think that. It hurts, it'll just eventually either go away.
I don't know how many times I have this conversation with other therapists and or patients where, we all think that we're the exception to the rule. Like, pain is there for a reason. It's there as an alarm. It's there to kind of tell us something's going on. But hey, not for me, right? I mean, I'm the exception to the rule.
I was actually talking to a guy online because what did he have? I forget what it was, but he was waiting for his pain to decrease to go to physical therapy. Like, no, you can go to physical therapy now.
Yeah. You don't have to wait.
You don't have to wait for it to decrease, because if you wait for your pain to decrease, you'll go to physical therapy. Like, what
am I supposed to do now?
Yeah, what are we doing now?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, the key is, again, just remembering, self-awareness, not pushing through pain. So pain, again, is something that, should be recognized, and you need to have, you need to make some different modifications in whatever you're doing to avoid those or to limit your exposure to that. And then afterwards, you need to start doing things like ice, our favorite thing in the entire world. Ice, rest. Ice and rest are really the biggest things for jumper's knee, though. Getting away, if you are an athlete, getting away from whatever that explosiveness is that you're trying to do or trying to work towards, taking a break from that. If it is something where you're kind of, you're either you've injured yourself during the weekend and you're doing housework and that sort of things, and you avoid some of that stuff for a while. It's a good excuse to
get out of doing things.
Which actually, I had a patient the other day that he had a meniscal injury, and he's like, gosh, my wife is, I'm off work right now. My wife is on me to do all these things. And so I wrote him a fake note that said he didn't have to do any housework. His wife literally ripped it up in front of him. Like when he came in the next time, I go, so how'd that go? He goes, I didn't pick my moment well. I didn't read the situation well. She came home from work. I was home all day long. She was in a bad mood, and she was like not having anything of it. And so I was like, was it funny at all? He's like, no. No, it was not fun. Did not land at all. So, pick your moments with that. Note to self.
Exactly.
There are braces that you can wear to help.
What are they called?
We can put a link in.
Yeah.
They're braces that go along the patellar tendon. They're also used for like Osgood-Schlatters disease and things like that. I mean, basically, it's similar to like lateral epicondylitis, where you put the brace across the tendon so that it takes away some of the pressure and the irritation.
Yeah, it moves the insertion kind of basically is the idea behind it. But
moves where the stress is being placed with the tendon so that it doesn't agitate it as much. So people do wear those braces. But avoid the deep bends, avoid the lots of stairs, take stairs one at a time. Maybe you... if you can't avoid going downstairs in the basement, if you can get somebody to do laundry and things like that, just to avoid those stairs. Deep seats.
Yeah.
Yeah. Low couches.
Low seat,
Low couches.
Couches are usually the big thing.
Mm-hmm. Kneeling. Kids on the floor. Crisscross applesauce, keeping that knee in a deep bent position for a long period of time is something that's going to keep strain on it.
Yep.
So again, it's a lot of it is activity modification, icing. Certainly ibuprofen, Tylenol, NSAIDs, nonsteroidal, anti-inflammatory. Those can be things that you can use to help kind of decrease your pain for the interim. And then slowly, we want to keep the range of motion, though.
Yes.
So, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Just slowly, gently...
Just so that I'm not talking the whole time.
So basically, you just want to start stretching your bend, basically. So... Yep, right?
Start stretching your bend.
So basically, stretching your quad is fairly easy. You can, depending on how bad it is, how much range of motion it is, you can... lay down, just kind of slide your heel up towards your butt.
Heel slides.
Heel slides. You can get you can start getting more aggressive with it as you get. You can just start kind of standing ones where you're just kind of, everyone's seen it where you just grab your foot and pull it up and try to pull it up to your butt.
Yeah, stretching the quad out.
Yeah.
Quad sets to keep strength.
Yep.
Straight leg raises to
quad
keep
sets,
strength.
Yeah, quad sets. Wall sets are a good one too.
Yeah,
it kind of gets them in that a different position.
But I start high.
Yes,
I should say.
Yeah, don't. Again, you don't want to overstress it.
So when you're doing a wall slit, you sit. You start off and you just kind of maybe go down maybe 3 or 4 inches to begin with and hold that. For 30,
and you would want to do that. You would want to do that like real high for a day and assess it.
See how your body responds.
How do I tolerate? You don't want to do it day of. You're like, oh, this one was fine. I'm going to immediately start going lower, and then do because you might overdo it.
This is all just like everything that we've always talked about. This is all trial and error, and there are certain protocols for all of these types of dysfunctions to get people from where they're hurting to where they're feeling better. But it's really so dependent on how your body responds. So you've got to give your body time to react so that you can properly assess what the true reaction is.
Yep.
If you just wait 20 minutes, or or I should say even maybe 2 minutes after doing an exercise. And say,
fine.
hey, that feels great. Well, who knows how you feel 20 minutes later. So, and that's where I think people get frustrated with the healing process is that, we're all kind of this instant gratification society, myself included, Will included in this. But there's a certain level of patience that we have to see how the body really responds. And if we can really read and react to it, then you're going to set yourself up for better success.
Yep.
So, but yeah, so once you start to feel better and you start to get a little bit of distance in between, the last time you had some pain, what you can end up trying to do a bit of is get lower and lower with things like wall sits. You can start to go into some mini squats to where you're not having any support. So maybe 6 to 12 inches, just standing in space and squatting down, and then slowly work lower and lower to where you're doing like seat sits, which is where you kind of squat down,
sit, or
touch your butt
touch
to something.
Yep.
Start off with like your bed, which is a little bit higher.
Yep.
Then go down to a chair, and you can go down lower. Certainly, if you're someone who's doing a lot of kneeling, I actually have people introduce kneeling like even on their bed to begin with, so that it's a soft surface, so that their body can just get tolerant to it, and then slowly go to maybe a more plush carpet, and then slowly move to And if you are going to be kneeling for a long period of time, invest in some knee pads.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if this is your profession, or if you're just kind of that weekend warrior that just tackles all these different projects. Invest in some good knee pads, especially if you're having some knee issues in general. But yeah, that's how you kind of take yourself through the whole process.
Yeah, it's more of it's not complicated. You just have to.
None of the stuff.
You have to be patient. Mm-hmm. So like a lot of none of what we're doing is.
None of the stuff is fast.
And you just have to be patient and constantly assess, reassess.
Yeah,
that hurt.
Yep. Yeah, and it all comes down to all the principles we've always said. Basic rehab, basic getting over a function or a dysfunction, I should say, is calming things down. 2 phases: calming things down and then systematically building it up.
Yep.
That's it. Okay. In the calm down phase, you're still trying to maintain as best you can your range of motion and your function, and you're doing as much as you can while still allowing it to calm down. And if you can do those principles while calming it down, then that's going to get you kind of at a higher bar to where it's time to start to build it back up, and then that building back up process is less difficult. But it's calm down then build up.
Yep.
So. Yeah. Anything else?
No, I think that kind of sums up the Yumper's knee. It's a soft J.
So yeah, I know a soft J person. I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
All right. So, spoiler warning. This is actually our guilty pleasure. This is why we do these podcasts. So we can just sit here and chat.
We have not talked about this because we didn't watch it together, and we have not talked about this most recent episode.
No, we have not even...
the second to last, the penultimate?
I can't say the word.
I can't say it either.
I have a speech impediment. It's called verbal diarrhea. So Game of Thrones. It is the last episode coming up here in the in 3 or 4 days here.
Yes.
And we have gone through the second to last episode. So lots of controversy in this episode. What are your overall thoughts on it?
Visually, it looked amazing.
Oh, fantastic.
It looked amazing.
I mean, I don't think we've ever seen television like this.
No, it looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, it just direction-wise, and there were some really cool shots in it.
Yeah. But really divisive in terms of whether or not people enjoyed it or not. So,
yeah.
So what, did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it up until...
Not like the carnage, yes, we know that it destroyed people and killed innocents, et cetera, et cetera. But did you enjoy the narrative aspect, or did you believe it?
I didn't believe... Some of it I did. like Grey Worm wanting to go all out.
Yes.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Because he's a soldier, that's what he does.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense to me. That would be his go-to thing. Mm-hmm. Dany just all of a sudden just indiscriminately killing children, which she has never done, is bizarre. Had they presented it where she immediately went to the Red Keep and blew up there, and then she saw like guards running amongst people, and that was her target, that would make more sense because it's a dragon, it's not like a scalpel.
Yeah.
But instead of just like working from the outside in, and like, I'm going to start with the kids first.
Yeah, I mean, she like systematically went through the streets. I mean, you get the perspective of Cersei from like the Red Keep, her castle, and you just see her just going down,
mowing. It's like literally watching somebody mow.
Yeah, I heard somebody say that actually, and I thought like, that's
what mowing people down is.
I didn't mind the heel turn. I think they just
set it up. They didn't have enough time to set it up.
I've heard people say that it's a little unearned. The setup aspect of it, and I think that's where the downfall is. That we've talked off air about this. Like, why didn't they just do 10 episodes? They didn't do.
Even then, I'm not sure if that would have been enough time to set up a fact where she's going to do a thing that she's never. She is cruel sometimes with her punishments, but she's never done it to.
She's done it for the deserving, for people who have deserved it.
Yeah.
She has not done it for like she's burned people and she's killed people ruthlessly who were opposed to her, but not innocent bystanders.
No.
So there is
definitively never kids.
There is this snapping that has occurred. And I think it actually happened earlier in the episode where she again went after Jon Snow.
Yeah, there was kind of some bit of throwaway lines where they kind of like they're trying to explain it like, oh, because how long does it take from King's Landing or from the north to King's Landing? Months.
It's several weeks, I believe. But of course, it's a snap of
but it's like she hasn't. You kind of have to read into it that she's been in a room alone stewing on this for. They don't say it. Because they don't even say how long she's been in there. She's just been in there for stewing on this thing.
Yeah.
It's just because everything is happening at really fast pace.
We have a visitor.
Yeah.
Hey, Henry.
All right, I'm gonna pause it.
You want to take a guest speaker here?
I'll pause it, and I'm gonna get him something to eat, and we'll be right back. All right, we gave him some food, so we're back.
We fed the beast.
Literally.
The beast child.
This it was almost like the snap. It was like for Thanos.
Just her snapping.
Just her snapping random. Yeah. Except Thanos, they built that up for the entire...
I do feel like there was enough groundwork that was in previous seasons to...
But it was never shown that she... It was shown that she had a cruel side, but it was never against kids. I mean, you can't say women because she's killed women before, I believe.
I mean, she had to have been some of those.
Some of those, yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, like, I was okay with it narratively.
I mean, I don't have a problem with her going mad. I don't have a problem with that. It's just...
I think they could have done it better.
Yes,
I think they could have.
Had she gone straight to the Red Keep, even after the bells rang, and they gave up, and she just wanted to destroy the wheel. I mean, this is the whole thing. Like she kept talking about for like 3 or 4 seasons.
Destroy the wheel. She's part of the wheel.
Yeah,
she's just part of the problem. I read an article where they said, why they could have just written it a little bit better from a narrative standpoint. Don't kill off Rhaegal the dragon the first time in the episode before, and then
that's another thing. So we go from like however big that fleet was being super accurate.
I know
with those super deadly with those scorpions to the entire castle lined with them, and another fleet out there lined with them, and she's like, nah, we're fine.
Yeah, I'm going to destroy this. So maybe
why didn't she do that the first time after they?
Maybe you don't do that
because then Missandei wouldn't have been caught had she just like she could have destroyed the fleet that first time and then
you could have found a different way to capture Missandei and still make her really tick the at the end of the episode. Like you could have brought that climax in another way.
Yeah.
So maybe like instead of that, like so this article suggested, okay, so you don't kill the dragons, right? You don't kill Rhaegal. You let that all pass, and you still take the city just like how she did. That doesn't contradict the storytelling the time before where, hey, they're super accurate, and then all of a sudden they can't hit the broadside of the barn. And so you've got Jon and her on a dragon waiting for the bells to ring, and then all of a sudden there's one more scorpion that shoots it and maybe then kills Rhaegal, and then she snaps,
yes.
and then you can maybe buy that a little bit more.
That would make more sense, because in the heat of the moment, when he did die, literally nothing happened. Mm-hmm. She didn't. When she had the opportunity to take revenge, there were just like little weird things that I didn't particularly enjoy.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think a lot of people are divisive on this because it just hasn't gone also the way that they anticipated it to go.
Yeah, it's like I literally don't have a problem with her going Mad Queen. That's not a problem for me. It's just the way they're rushing headlong into it.
Yeah. Well, again, it just hasn't been enough time. It's like I still don't understand why the showrunners at the beginning, like they told us 3 seasons ago, yep, we've got X amount of episodes left.
Yeah, we know.
Why?
So do you know that the current writers, one of them, I don't remember which one, is responsible for
Wolverine?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wolverine Origins, the really really bad one. Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. When I heard that, I'm like, that makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard that.
With the narrative nonsensical weird things that happen in that thing.
Well, Deadpool's in that, so
it's not the real.
It's Dead, and it's Ryan Reynolds.
It is Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. So, all right. So I'm still on board. This isn't the way I would have done it, but to say that I wasn't entertained, and
I mean, it was visually amazing.
And
the plot armor that Arya Stark has now is indestructible.
It's like all of a sudden she's the princess that was promised, and she's like all of a sudden she's like the hero. Like they've taken everything away from Jon too. Which
they've ignored the other prophecy about Cersei.
Well, but they never introduced the Valkyrie with, or not Valkyrie, but that's something else.
That would be amazing. Just randomly.
Yeah, no kidding. No, whatever. You know what I'm saying? They never introduced that her sibling was going to kill her in the show. In the
they
books,
said that.
No, they only did in the books. They did the sibling was going to kill her. They only said in the show that she would only have 3 kids. That's all that they said. The Maggie the Frog, the prophecy at the beginning of like season 4 or season 5. The prophecy flashback is only the kids. They never actually introduced the Valakar. That's what it is. Okay. Where they where her younger sibling would strangle her. So that's the only prophecy aspect of that they introduced. Okay. But with that being said,
I don't mind having that played out the way that is. I mean,
no, I was okay with that. I feel like they underutilized Cersei all season long. I mean, like she literally could have gone to the set one day and like filmed all of changed costumes, filmed all of this, and just done a lot of facial expressions and done one tear and been done. But
Tyrion, I'm gonna rat you out for doing treason, and then I'm gonna pull a little light treason right after that.
Yeah, I know. Like it's like his days are numbered.
Yeah, well, Tyrion's also gone from like the smartest person in the room to literally almost as bad as Jon Snow.
Yeah, I mean that whole demise of his intelligence.
I get why he did it, but because he owes him. He's his brother, and he owes him because he said it. I would have probably died if not for you. No,
I totally get that aspect of it. And because at the end of the day, we can be objective, but we're human beings, so we make subjective decisions. But the objective decisions that he's made in season 5, 6, 7, and 8. I mean, like you said, he went from one of the smartest people in the room, no matter who's in the room, to one of the all of a sudden dumbest people.
Yeah,
he's been tricked.
So many
and
decisions.
That's
and you can
inconsistent.
have poor decisions, but it's just like he just keeps having them.
Yeah, and that's inconsistent with his character.
Yeah, especially like he keeps. Oh no, my family's fine. No. I can bring him around. I can keep bringing him around. Like,
it's flip-flopping.
No point did you think you thought you could. You murdered your father on the toilet.
Yeah. Yeah. So and that's the other thing that I've heard people complain about is that since the source material has been less lately, that the writing has somewhat fallen off, but at the end of the day, I think that this is how. I think in the books, Daenerys is going to light up the city.
Yeah, I mean, it'll probably be written better. There'll be more fleshed out, and
that's it. And
part of it is they have the time because it's a book.
And you and I are both not book readers.
Not for these, no.
Yeah, and what I've heard is that they actually go into like the thoughts and so the thought process and motivations and the point of view chapters are really very very telling. So obviously they're going to be able to flush that stuff out more in the books. But overall, one more episode.
Yeah, we'll have to see where this goes. I mean,
another 80-minute episode, so we'll see where it goes. Anyways, that's a lot of rambling.
Yes, it is.
That's probably the longest we've spent on
talking about actual,
in a long time.
Yes, it is. All right, let's wrap this up. This podcast was for educational purposes only. At least the first half of it was. It is not designed to diagnose or treat. When beginning any exercise program, it should be reviewed and discussed with your medical professional prior to beginning. Information on this podcast is not designed to replace medical treatment. Remember, treat yourself.